Actually, I just need to check in. Are you still telling that lie, or are you telling new lies?
Former Obama speechwriter David Litt went on the far right-wing network Newsmax, a network that for the longest time perpetuated the idea that Donald Trump somehow won the election because of rigged voting machines. A completely ridiculous and baseless claim that, well, randomly comes up in this appearance from David Litt on this network. Watch.
David Litt, good morning. Welcome into Wake Up America. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I did not watch Saturday Night Live. I watched the clips. The show's on too late. Quite frankly, I don't think it's that funny anymore. What'd you think of Elon Musk's performance? This is the first time since 2015 we've had a non-athlete, non-entertainer on the show. The last person to do that and do well with great ratings, our former president, Donald Trump.
Well, Rob, it's a great question. I mean, what happened on SNL this weekend was that people made stuff up and then said it on television like it's true. And that actually happens pretty frequently in American TV. For example, in 2020, Dominion Voting Systems sued Newsmax over its false claims about election fraud. Newsmax was lying to its own viewers, and Newsmax had to settle that lawsuit. So actually, I just need to check in. Are you still telling that lie, or are you telling new lies?
Wait, are we talking about, I'm sorry, David, are we talking about, do you want to talk about something completely non-related and try to catch me on a Monday morning totally off topic, or do you want to talk about Elon Musk?
Well, I can see why you don't want to talk about Dominion Voting Systems, because if you do, Newsmax could get sued and lose billions of dollars because these are lied.
David, that's fine, David. I know this is a very funny moment for you. I'm sure you didn't sleep last night as you prepared to sort of try and get the morning anchor on Newsmax. I'd be happy to talk with you about whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, it's not the topic that we have set up for right now. So if you'd like to talk about Saturday Night Live, I will do that with you. But obviously, I'm not going to talk about anything else right now. So you decide right now, in this moment on live television. Go ahead.
Did Dominion Voting Systems have any impact on the 2020 election?
Oh, that's unfortunate because I was really excited about this interview. I didn't watch SNL on Saturday night, but I thought Elon Musk did an okay job. And he also said that he's got Asperger's. So I thought that was a fascinating component of the monologue. So, David, we look forward to having him back on very soon again. That was a stellar interview. David Litt, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back.
So, a little uncomfortable there for the Newsmax host. I'm sure David Litt will be invited back on. Now, of course, he used the platform to expose Newsmax for that obvious lie about the election, so obvious that they were sued over it. And this brings up the question, how do you utilize, or how should you utilize a platform like Newsmax or like Fox News? Should you go on there to do what David Litt did and essentially punk the network, or should you go on there to try and inform an audience that is misinformed? Now, when it comes to networks like CNN, MSNBC, I think the latter makes more sense. I think because you have an audience there that is a little more ripe for information, it makes more sense to utilize a platform like CNN or MSNBC to inform the viewership. When it comes to Fox News or Newsmax or other right-wing networks, you could argue that it makes more sense to expose them for maybe a big lie or basically go in there going for broke, knowing that you're not going to come back on. So you're going to take it to, another level, which is what's happened before. So David Litt is one example. Another example is Rutger Bregman. He's a historian who was on Tucker's show a couple of years ago. This was a pre-taped interview, so it never actually aired on Fox News, unfortunately, but Rutger did tape his side of the conversation, so we did get to see the conversation there. And he basically went on there exposing Tucker. At one point discussed how he's a millionaire paid by billionaires to lie, which is a perfect way to discuss Tucker Carlson. But that's how he utilized the platform. Another person that did similar, this guy here, was on Maria Bartiromo's show. He's an animal rights activist. I covered this actually. I'll link to it above the video so you can watch that. But an animal rights activist went on this show pretending to be the CEO of Smithfield Foods, which is, I believe, a meat packing company. So you have an animal rights activist pretending to be the CEO of a meat packing company. And obviously that conversation went a little sideways as well. But he did it in such a masterful way that Maria Bartiromo wasn't even all that certain that he wasn't the CEO. So again, I'll link to that above if you can watch that exchange. But the way he did it was very well done. But still, going on knowing he's not going to come back on. But ultimately, I think you can argue either way is effective. depending on the platform, depending on what the messaging is, and but also, as I said, certain networks, I think it makes more sense to actually inform the audience. Now, in terms of the Newsmax host there, if you're in his shoes, I think a way that he could have got back at David Litt there was to just say, hey, you were a speechwriter for Obama. You're telling me that you never lied in a speech? Now, obviously, the lies that Obama may have told in speeches, or the, avoiding certain truths about U.S. imperialism, for example, in Obama's speeches, is not a lie to the obvious level of Trump lies. I mean, Trump lies were above and beyond. The election, lie over the election, the biggest of all the lies. But still, if you're a Newsmax host, that would be a way to try and get him back. Or another way, just admit to the accusation. Say, yeah, we at Newsmax, we misinformed our audience and we were wrong about that. We admitted to it, and so what? Let's move on. Let's talk about SNL. I mean, that's another way to try and steer the conversation. But regardless here, all things considered, I think the Newsmax host handled it pretty well. But you can tell the guy is a bit of a tool, as most of these hosts are. It's hard to understand. It's hard to really quantify how much they actually believe what they're saying. A lot of it, these people are simply hired because they're good at reading a script off a teleprompter. And so I'm not sure how deeply this host is really into this crap. But at the same time, that's no defense of them. They're still on there being a part of the system that is manufacturing propaganda. And there is no defense of that. I don't care if you're just on there for a paycheck. You're still a part of the system that manufactures propaganda on a daily basis. And David Litt there did a good job at calling that out.